Present.
Lori Musser.
Here.
Dr. Ford.
Present.
Brent Jordan.
Present.
Deborah Gould.
Here.
And Sheriff Vermont.
Here. Thank you, Pat. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? We have no flag.
No flag. Let's. Deborah's dress.
Oh, my God. We will pledge allegiance to the wall. That's right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Flag in my car.
We'd like to welcome tonight the Citizens Task Force concerning the City of Joplin's Proposition A. We have with us Brent Baker, Howie Nunnally, and Leslie Hass. If they would please join us wherever you want. You can sit down with us or you can go to the podium. Whatever feels right. It's up to you.
Nobody throwing anything behind me.
Watch your back.
Thank you all for letting us come and speak to you about this issue. The City Council...
Howie, will you give
Sorry.
Leslie the microphone? Thank you.
Thank you. The City Council formed a use tax committee, a citizens use tax committee in April to look at this issue. This issue is one of the most important issues for our community and by extension the school district. It's important for the city. And after hearing the use tax committee's recommendation, the council voted to place it on the ballot on August 7th, and the committee is out educating our citizens about this issue so that when they go to the polls, hopefully they will understand the item. And so with that, I will turn it over to Brent Baker is with Liberty Utility, and Howie Nunley is with New Life Radio, and I will let them go through the information. We have provided you a Q&A, a question and answer, but at the end, we'd be glad to answer any questions.
Great, thanks. I'm going to start us off. Many of you know me from being around town, and those of you who don't, we haven't interacted. I work with Liberty Utilities, and the reason I joined this task force was to try to make a difference and see if we can help find a better way forward to collect some of the taxes that we're losing by people shopping online and through, we'll say through catalogs, which I'm not sure how much of it is through catalogs, but that's part of this. Personally, I want to make sure we have an opportunity here in the city to compete with the other cities that have already completed this effort and have a use tax in place, and make sure we level the playing field as much as possible. So on the slide above you, you see that it does state what the use tax applies to. It is about out-of-state purchases that are brought here for use in this city. And so right now you can go online and buy stuff to be used here, and it does not get the local sales tax applied to it. It does not apply if you're a Missouri resident buying from a Missouri retailer. I'm going to say this several times, a few different ways, but it's not a double taxation issue. It's to make sure we are collecting sales tax on purchases that are not made in state. Thank you. And so why do we need a use tax? It's really about leveling the playing field. So a lot of local, on one hand, it's about the local businesses having to have an unfair competition with those who are able to sell the same product online. There's just a natural disadvantage to somebody who doesn't have to charge taxes to somebody who does. So there's a normal thought about leveling the playing field and retaining the local businesses and keeping jobs. So as part of a local employer here, we're really interested in keeping local jobs here and and I'm sure just as you all are, keeping good people in our towns and making sure we keep ourselves as successful as possible. On the slide above you, it shows the Joplin Globe recent article about the Radio Shack closing. And this is one of those stores that was impacted by the changing times. They've gone through bankruptcies, bad decisions, and corporate closures over time, but really couldn't overcome the internet purchasing and the changes that have happened in the industry. And part of that is the fact that there's an avoidance of taxes when people are able to buy things online. And then the fact that it's important for our local economy. So the next piece, I've just talked about retailers and leveling the playing field. The next piece that's really important is the fact that the city of Joplin misses out on tax revenue that would be vital to provide the local services that we hear about quite a bit even recently in the news, we've heard about some of the issues with the limited funds that the city of Joplin is operating with to be able to do the things that we need to do. In 2015, there were some, using the 2015 numbers, it's an estimation that $1.2 million in tax revenue is not collected. If we were to put a use tax in place, that's the 2015 result of having that would have been a $1.2 million positive impact. These could have been used to fund police and fire, which recently we've heard a lot about, and then streets and parks and rec, which we know is critical to quality of life in this community. And then examples of purchases, and this is just to make sure it's really clear to people as we talk about this. If you're in state and you're purchasing an item at a retailer, you get sales tax on that item, and in the city of Joplin, it's 2.625. So a $200 item is $5.25 in taxes. Move to the next column. If you're buying an out-of-state purchase with a use tax on it, it's the same thing, 5.25, and this is just a clear illustration. If you go out-of-state purchase without a use tax, you pay no taxes, so you buy it for $200. And we've all seen the advertisements in different places as we go. There are even that little $5 difference. There are people that advertise, you know, a savings of even that amount, and that does play well with some customers. And the question, I think recently that's come up in June, there was the Supreme Court ruling that said, it sounded a little bit like this issue was going to be fixed by the Supreme Court ruling, which overturned the previous ruling that you would have to have a physical presence in state in order to be required to collect sales tax or use tax on purchases. This actually, the Supreme Court case actually doesn't fix the issue that we have. It applies to all out-of-state taxes and all out-of-state purchases to make sure you are able to collect locally. The next slide actually talks about the fact that even though that Supreme Court ruling went through and it sounded like it was fixing the issue, it didn't, because as the city, you still have to have a use tax on the books to be able to collect that. So the fact that the Supreme Court ruling happened helped and makes all out-of-state purchases eligible to have a use tax on it. You still have to have a use tax in place at the city. And so that local tax has to mirror the local sales tax. So if that tax increases or decreases at voters' approval, so these are all just normal, just like sales tax, then the use tax follows that exact same trend. So it definitely is a mirror of exactly what was done before. And I think Howie will take over from here on kind of what that looks like in the current budget.
Well, my name is Howie Nunley, and I work for American Media Investments, own a small business, and also a pastor here locally. And I really got pulled onto the committee because they were looking for someone tall, dark, and handsome. And I figured 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? The use tax, it was foreign to me, as it's foreign to a lot of people. When you start saying use tax, you use the word tax, people automatically go, ah. So with this, the big question is, will I pay both taxes? And the answer, of course, is absolutely not. This applies to out-of-state purchases. Put that slide up there. I don't have this memorized. Applies to out-of-state purchases brought here to use. It's imposed on storage, use, or consumption of tangible personal property in Missouri. It does not apply if purchase is subject to sales tax. So you see what the sales tax is good for. It requires a sale at retail in Missouri, and charges are based on location of the seller. So if I go into a store and say I go into the runaround and look at a pair of shoes, I try them on, I've used his man hours, I've used his air conditioning, I've used his hours being open, and then I go buy that online, well, he has missed out on the sale, number one, and that we have no money coming back into the community for a quality of life issue. So really, we kind of miss out on it if it goes that way. And so the use tax and the sales tax, people say, how does it affect you? If you don't buy online or through catalogs from out-of-state vendors, you won't pay a tax. So it's pretty cut and dry. So we want to, again, level the playing field for our local businesses. And, we take care of, roads and police and fire, and they're all different types of things where money can flow into if we say yes to this. Use tax, what happens if Proposition A fails? Well, local businesses, of course, remain at a competitive disadvantage to out-of-state vendors, and the city of Joplin won't collect tax revenues on out-of-state purchases. Again, missing out on keeping our city beautiful and keeping it clean. And the brick and mortar stores miss out on those sales as well. The use tax verbiage that's on the ballot, and I'll tell you in just a few minutes kind of where you can find the where to vote, because I just found out today it'll be on the back of the ballot. Okay. So we can read through this verbiage if we can. Shall the city of Joplin impose a local use tax at the same rate as the total local sales tax rate, currently 2 5/8%, provided that if any local sales tax is repealed, reduced, or raised by voter approval, the local use tax rate shall also be repealed, reduced, and raised by the same action. A use tax return shall not be required to be filed by persons whose purchases from out-of-state vendors do not in total exceed $2,000 in any calendar year. So that's kind of the verbiage that we're going with on that. Kind of to wrap things up here, the use tax City of Joplin Proposition A. City of Joplin Proposition A use tax. Now, there was a little bit of confusion with the other Proposition A and the campaign that's going on with that and the yard signs and billboards. So we've started some billboards and yard signs and different types of advertisement, but this is definitely a yes on Proposition A. The city's Proposition A, the last question on the ballot, and I believe we've got the people at the voting stations telling people that there is another selection on the back of the ballot. So if you're talking to people and you are rallying the troops to get them to vote yes, which I know you will, be sure and tell them, look for it on the back of the ballot. Yeah, just wrapping up, we believe it's a huge, huge deal for the future of Joplin. We're saying recovering revenue and growing Joplin, because we do believe this could add in excess of $1.2 million to the coffers that can be used for all types of things. And so we're really just, I got to tell you, after finding out about it and learning about it, I kind of got excited because I love this place. We love this place. We were just talking about it. We appreciate your time and attention. Please go get out the vote. And we thank you very much.
Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for the Citizens Task Force?
So, one question. This would just be for people in the city of Joplin who vote for city council. In other words, if you can vote for city council, if you're in the rural areas, it wouldn't be, the rural Joplin areas, it wouldn't be for you.
Correct. It's City of Joplin city limits.
Right, okay. So are counties looking at this type of measure? Like, for instance, I live out in the county, rural Joplin.
Right. So, yes, I think that the counties definitely, the Supreme Court ruling has made this issue go from a level of importance here to here. And so I think any municipality, any county government, any government that is dependent on sales tax will be looking at this issue if they haven't already. I went and presented to the Jasper County Commissioners this morning at their meeting, and basically, they're kind of waiting to see how this goes for us, and then they'll make some decisions.
So this could have a trickle effect of other communities near us.
Yeah. And I guess I'll speak. We at Liberty serve a lot of communities from here to Branson and in the central region, and many of those smaller communities have already passed that. And I'll just throw out the city of Mount Vernon already has this done. Several cities between here and Branson have done this well and been ahead of it. And maybe it's because they were a smaller community and saw it before it became too far behind. But everybody is looking at, and even counties, about the sales tax revenue that they're missing out on and how to make sure they fix it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Makes sense.
Like the one before that we helped the past couple years ago. Yeah, there was something different, I know.
We have a couple of changes to make to our agenda this evening. We're going to pull items 12B and 12C.
Makes sense there.
And we are going to add as item H12, the project Lead the Way. With that, I'd accept any motions to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek. It's been moved. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Brent. It's been moved and seconded. We approve the amended agenda. 12B and
those were
C,
second
I'm
readings.
sorry, are on the consent. It's G, 12B, and C are being removed. Any other questions, folks?
I'm going to ask a question. Can we combine items H, 7, 8, and 9 to vote on at once? Because those are surplus. Can we just vote on those as one?
Yes, Jennifer requests that we consolidate items H, 7, 8, and 9, which are all surplus items. We have a
I'll second.
So I believe that Derek has just amended his motion to include that amendment to the agenda.
I would second that.
Thank you, Brian. It's been moved and seconded that we accept the agenda as amended. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you all. It's time to celebrate. It's great. This is one of our favorite parts of our meeting. And I'm going to call up to see us Isaiah Davis, Micah Bruggeman, and Zach Westmoreland. Are these guys here? Isaiah and Micah. And we want to congratulate Isaiah for a 5th place finish in the Class 5 Javelin. Great job in our this is track, just to let everybody know. Micah is an amazing runner. He's a 5th place finisher in the Class 5 800-meter run. And Zach, who's not with us, earned an 8th place finish in the Class 5 long jump. All these were at the 2018 MSHSAA. So congratulations. Isaiah, shake my hand. Great job. Micah, great job. Let's get some pictures.
We got moms taking pictures. So stay there.
Great job.
You got pictures of
Okay. Thank you. SCMS students made a presentation to the Joplin City Council. 6th grade students and Heather Van Oderloos, I hope that I pronounced your name correctly. Oderloo, I apologize. Communication arts class worked in conjunction with the Joplin City Manager, Sam Anselm, and City Council Member Ryan Stanley to brainstorm the city's challenge. How can we increase awareness and participation in the Joplin Curbside Recycling Program? Maya Coyne, Carolyn Erisman, and Chloe Friend were selected to present their ideas for increased curbside recycling program to the City Council on Monday, April 16th. Their presentation is a great example of project-based learning, a dynamic teaching method where students actively explore real-world problems and challenges to acquire deeper knowledge. Would you all like to come forward and present this to us, please, students? Or do we have So we're going to go through the PowerPoint. And if I mispronounce your names, I apologize.
Does that microphone work?
Where should they go? You guys want to go up to the podium?
Sarah's getting their clicker.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that microphone? Is that
There's a mic right there.
It'll come off at the stand.
It's on.
It may not amplify, but it'll get recorded.
Brad says it's on.
The importance of recycling. Some people question the reasons to recycle. They just don't care. They don't care that many animals are being driven out of their homes every day because of pollution. They don't care that the atmosphere here is being polluted with dangerous gases. If everyone recycled, though, our home would never be a waste. Joplin should recycle, and this is how we can do it.
How to get more people to participate in the curbside recycling program. Some ideas our group had are advertising and marketing through hosting a third Thursday with a recycling theme. A good time might be during April when you can focus on Earth Day. We can sell recycled goods to raise money and encourage people to recycle. We can put up posters at places such as Wildcat Blaze in Cunningham Park. The booth with upcycled things at Third Thursday would have jewelry, bottle cap art, and much more. All of those items will be made from recycled materials.
Third Thursday. Some plans for the Third Thursday event are, at the recycling booth, we can have activities such as games about what can be recycled and what can be upcycled. We could put pictures of what happens to the world when not many people recycle, which would tug at people's heartstrings. And every person who signs up for recycling at the booth will be entered into a drawing for a free recycling bin.
More ways to get people to participate in the curbside recycling program. Another way we can encourage curbside recycling is we could set up a rewards program. We would set a goal for how much recycling is put in the bins as a community. And when we reach that goal, some of the community establishments, such as Sophie Blooming Boutique, Equal Drive-In, Instant Karma, etc., can have a discount or a sale on some of their items. If people don't want to participate, they do not have to. To make sure that you are a valid candidate for this program, you'll need to bring your curbside recycling bill in the establishment. This rewards and encourages recycling and curbside. We could also advertise this on a website.
How to enforce our recycling solutions. How we could arrange meetings with the Joplin City Council for the Third Thursday theme plan. Anybody who wanted to create recycled crafts can. Maybe local schools can as well. At the recycled craft booth, we can draw in children with crafts and tug at their heartstrings with sad pictures of pollution.
Great job.
The girls, along with Caroline, presented this in April to the City Council, and they actually are planning a work day where they will come together as a council and discuss their ideas and how they can implement them, and then bring the girls back again in the fall to kind of talk with them about these are the ideas that we want to run with, what can you do to support us, and what can we do to support your ideas. And so this year we're kind of hoping to work within the district too to identify some things that the kids can come up with solutions for. And as you can see, they come up with some creative ideas. So thank you for acknowledging that. We appreciate it.
Fantastic job. We'd also like to mention that North Middle School also participated in the curbside recycling solutions. Their teacher is Julie Gubera, and the students involved were Alaya Clark, Austin Cup, Trent Foreman, and Brody Lane. So congratulations to that group as well. With that, we will move on to Policy Committee update. Deborah or Jennifer or Brent?
We have
and we have 2, 3, 4, 5 on for second reading, although we took 2 of those off, it looks like. And then we're bringing 5 policies for first read. The only one, weren't we waiting, did we bring forth for, sorry, I looked at this, I just didn't, do we have 5 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The interdistrict transfer, weren't we waiting to get back some wording on that one? I had that with changes on page 5. Did we get those approved by MSBA? Mm-hmm. Okay, so.
That language is included.
Okay, good. So, anyways, so it was a good meeting. As always, our next meeting is scheduled for August 21st at 3 p.m. And that's it. It's a good meeting.
Thank you, Jennifer, very much. Superintendent's data report.
Yes, we have health and dental and financial statements, and I will turn that over to Dr. Langford.
Again, we direct your attention to the health and dental report. We continue to see a positive trend in the development or the increasing of balances in the health and dental fund overall. While we did see about a $700,000 increase in the fiscal year in the health and dental expenses, the revenue was such that we were able to increase by about $2 million. So we're now sitting, as of the close of this month, went up about $2 million from last year, which puts us in a very good position going into a new plan year beginning October 1st. So there's always a little bit of an awkward lag, and I'm very pleased with that trend, and we're very hopeful going forward. So the dental fund, as you mentioned, it's continued to grow, but all of that is going to change based on the last action because we're changing the dental coverage. And so we will now be buying insurance, no longer a self-funded plan, and we will be taking some of the proceeds and then utilizing some of the reserves that have been built up. So we will see these reserves be expended over time, depending on the increase cost of the premiums in future years, but probably take about 8 years to consume those balances.
Thank you, Dr. Langford. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Langford?
I have a question. So are we, with doing this, with changing our health plan and things, are you seeing that people are talking about people who have not previously been covered joining the plan?
I can't respond to that. I think Sarah could, but I did hear him say, that they will be starting the sign-up process, and then at that point, I think we'll find more about it.
Right. We're at the beginning stages of that rollout, so open enrollment will be August 1st through the 23rd. Okay. There will be an informational video, and as well as information shared with them in different capacities to educate. That's a huge piece. We want to educate our employees on their options, and then once those open enrollments start coming in, we'll have a decent idea of where we're at.
And open enrollment starts when?
August 1st through the 23rd.
That is when open enrollment starts. Okay. Good. So maybe there our next meeting.
Yeah, we should have a good update for the next board meeting.
Any other questions?
Financial statements.
Okay. Again, we continue to refer you to the documents provided. You have you have quite a bit of information, but the most informative, in my opinion, is the single page. It will be modified very minimally. Next month, you will no longer see the health and dental part on there because we took that into a separate fund code. It's handled just like it was before. We'll be able to show you this same report just like we've done, but it will not be shown on this balance sheet. That will be gone. But we believe we're going to end the year very strong. This is the last one. We're actually in the next fiscal year. So I think that the position of the district is good. I do have one bit of good news that really we had not been saying too much about, but in I believe it was February, we made the decision to get funds committed so that the Bank of America fund, the $14 million loan that was done for 3 years to try to wrap up the projects. And shortly after we did that, there was a question that arose concerning the state's portion dating back to August of 2012. And the state SEMA, the Emergency Management Division, was claiming that $1.5 million that had been given by the governor to Joplin for not that purpose. It was really to keep the district from having to raise its levy by 3 cents. And we had the news. And thank G.G. Mathis. I mean, you thank the people that, you know, we have some tremendous support staff, but we had the documentation. We were very fortunate to, in March, engage this discussion with Senator Richard. He took the lead in the discussion. And so we watched that, and then Senator Brown, who chairs the Senate Appropriations Committee, Representative Scott Fitzpatrick, who chairs the House Appropriations Committee, and then the staffers within the budget offices of those two divisions, recognized that while it was coded to SEMA, that was not the intent. And you don't see this happen very often, but we did receive an appropriation this year, and we did get the money in the bank last Friday for $1.5 million that it did appear that we might not have been able to collect. So I just want to make you aware that next month that'll be reflected in the balance you see. We have it invested now, earning interest, and the only thing for that account that we're waiting on is the state will not pay its portion until all appeals have been finished. So I've made, 6 weeks ago I talked to Washington. In fact, I talked to them again today. And we now have 5 of the 7 appeals. And so we're waiting for the last 2. And when we get those, then we believe we're in a position to start working with the state to get the release of that match money, that 10% roughly of the state's part. So we're working toward that. It's my goal to try to get that squared away so we get that, any question marks answered and off the books.
Out of those 5 appeals, have we been granted any
We've
additional funding?
We've not been granted any. We've not had any appeal. All appeals have been denied, I guess, to use the language they tell us.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Langford. Does anybody have any additional questions for Dr. Langford? Moving onward, do we have public comments this evening? Thank you, Pat. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Lori. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Derek. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Regular agenda. We are at JEC Prime Contract Change Order number 17. Dr. Sketa.
Okay, as you recall, as Dave comes up, we had some money left over from our contingency budget from the project, and we were allowed to go ahead and utilize some more expenditures that were really would maybe enhance the building or do some things within the confines of the footprint of the building. So Dave worked with Mindy St. Clair, and we worked with the team all together and tried to identify some other areas where we could maybe add to a little bit, and Dave's here to tell you about it.
I see this evening as good news and bad news, as the old adage goes. The good news is this is probably the last change order for the Joplin Early Childhood Center I will bring to you. But the bad news is I will be disappointed not to keep asking you for money at each and every meeting. So as we look at this evening, the change order consists of 4 items. One of them is a credit of $645 from a change that we made back during the construction. We are adding an additional mini blind for our receptionist, so the eastern morning sun makes it difficult for her to work, so we've added that. And then the 2 things that we've worked with the city to spend some of the additional monies within that grant money. And the funding for that is for some security revisions, which consists of 3 things: some additional cameras for the covering the entrances, for 2 duress buttons within the building, and then also, as you've recalled in visiting the facility, that each of the classrooms has exterior doors, and so we're going to put magnetic sensors on each of those, tie that in with the security system so that any entry point at the building will now currently be covered by the security system. And then also, as we got into warmer temperatures, we realized that we left those folks out on the playground without any way to get away from that western side sun. And so we're going to add some shade structures there as well to accommodate our staff as well as our students. All those together lead to a prime contract change order of $65,727.64, which in the long scope of things leaves a total balance, if that is accepted this evening, of $55,957.61.
Thank you, Dave. Does anybody have any questions for Dave? Can you describe the structures that are going to give us some shade out there?
The structures as designed will be similar to a single pole setup with a large durable fabric material that will essentially be an umbrella in 3 different positions out there spread across that playground to, one, throw some shade on particular areas, but will also throw some shade onto the playground itself so that they will have an opportunity to continue to play but be in some shaded areas.
Thank you.
How large is that mini blind? It's a
Do
lot
what?
of money for a mini blind. How big is that thing?
The mini blind, it goes in the receptionist area, but it's like 8 foot tall.
And it's wide.
It's tall and wide.
And we noticed that one day when I was there early on. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be something else. And we tinted it too.
We actually had tinted the windows, but it was not sufficient enough during that morning sun to allow her to even view her computer.
Yeah,
and not only is it a large space, but it's a non-standard measurement.
Oh, yeah. She needs it, absolutely. That was a lot of money from, I bought some at Lowe's last week.
Not your Walmart mini blind price.
What is our deadline for spending out the money? So like,
In working with the city, we actually have to have the entire project closed out by the end of this calendar year.
okay.
I worked with the city in adding these 2 additional projects to spend some of that remaining money. We are anticipating by roughly the 1st of September having those projects completed and having those out, so that gives time for us to do all of the paperwork closeout with the city for them to get all of their funding sources in together so that we can complete the final closeout by the end of the calendar year.
Okay, perfect.
I think there was some expediency too to make some decisions.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
they
because
worked
of
with
all
us to
that.
help.
Yeah, but they've been very good to work with us.
I'd like a motion to approve this change order, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the JEC prime contract change order number 17. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Adult education agreements with Missouri Southern. Dr. Moss.
Yes, and I believe, Dave, were you and Penny coming forward for this one? We have our agreements worked out with dental as well as respiratory therapy, who will be staying on the MSSU campus, and I believe you have some extra to share with us.
Yeah, the agreements with Missouri Southern, of course, we're going to be moving over here for our programs that are in the criminal justice building, but our respiratory care program has been out there since, I think, 1994. It started out as a certificate-only program. Then the accrediting body for that program required an associate's degree, and so we partnered at that time with Missouri Southern to offer that degree, and have continued to do that. It's taken a little bit of time to get a new agreement worked out, but we're excited to be able to keep that program on campus with Missouri Southern and in the health sciences building. And then in addition to that, it just made sense for us. We run a dental assistant program in the same lab that they run dental hygiene. And our dental assistant program is an evening program. We had a discussion with Missouri Southern staff that if they did not see a need for that space, that it would, one, save us a little bit on our remodeling here by leaving dental out there. And it makes good sense because we share some equipment. We're eligible for Enhancement Grant equipment, and we can buy equipment that we can use as well as them, and there will be no rent charged or anything like that, so it just made good sense to continue with that. So we're excited that we've come to an agreement on those.
So we would recommend that the board approve the agreements presented between Joplin Schools Franklin Tech and MSSU for the respiratory care and dental assistant programs.
Thank you, Doctor. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Lori.
Second.
And thank you, Deb. It's been moved and seconded that we approve item H2 on our agenda. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Penny.
Thank you for working with them.
And then Dave, are you sticking around for the project Lead the Way? Okay.
Accounts payable, Dr. Langford.
Again, you can be directed to the computer, and you can see the full list of all of the bills that we're paying. If you go back and do the analysis of the $4,982,000, $4,223,000 are relative to payment of salaries and insurance, or insurance for staff, retirement, and those type things. $732,000 for the other instruction. The summer's the time when you will start seeing some larger expenditures. We're $2 million less than a year ago, but we had expenses of the new construction that was going on. So we're very much in line. I will tell you, as I think I put in the Thursday report, that come next month, you're going to see quite a bit larger number of the instruction and support, because we've got some insurance bills that we've got to pay for the facilities and things like that, but that's anticipated in the summertime. So this is business as usual. If there are any questions about any particular items, I'd be glad to attempt to answer and provide answers if I can't do it this evening to you.
Thank you, Dr. Langford. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Langford?
I make a motion that we pay our bills.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Deb. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our accounts payable. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. All righty. Are we going to put a fence around Jeonguk Stadium?
Well, sort of. On the eastern side there, the parking lot, the green space, the discus ring and everything that's over there, well, we kind of used it for parking. And we're expanding our footprint all the way, as far as the fence goes, to our property line, up to those two property owners. And this will prepare us during the season, to have people within the fence and the confines. And then also we'll be able to gauge where we're at when it comes to potential expansion of bleachers if we need it. And essentially a permanent structure, hopefully down the line, for restrooms and concessions. But what did they tell you?
Yeah. It's been quite a long process to get to this point where we can bring this bid to you. We've worked alongside the city, as well as 7 other entities, to still continue to allow access to the alleyway on the east side of the visitors' side of the stadium. And we've taken this to the City Council, to the Planning and Zoning Commission. They have approved this, and so that's why we're able to bring this to you this evening, to fence the rest of the existing properties that we own over to Jackson on the east side of the stadium complex. It'll allow us to maintain safety, crowd control, the quality of the experience for our visitors as well as for our home folks, and will allow us for some future expansion should we choose to do so, especially with the large change that we're going to have with the change in the conference that we are currently in. We anticipate that our attendance will considerably grow as far as visiting teams and their supporters. And so we're bringing this to you, $17,643 for that fencing, and ask for your approval.
Thank you, Dr. Saketa, and thank you, Dave. Does anybody have any questions for these gentlemen? I'd ask for a motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek. It's been moved and seconded by
Deb.
Thank you, Deb. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this fence for Jeonguk Stadium on the east side. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. We have a change order for Joplin High School PAC driveway project.
I'll let Dave explain the particulars, but as you know, anybody at the high school will be very excited about this extra driveway. We talked about that from the start, didn't we, Jennifer?
I am very excited about this.
Anyway, this will give us a third entry and exit into the facility on the, more towards the, I guess, the east side of the property, and it'll give parents a little bit better opportunity and kids to get in and out of the property, and it'll keep some traffic jams down, we hope. But also, we have some accessibility for ADA we need to take care of with the sidewalk. So.
It's actually the north side, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, off of 20th.
Yeah, it comes from the north, but it's kind of on the east side.
Yeah. And PAC
side.
is the Performing Arts Center.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
The crest for the change order that we're making is on the south side of where the new driveway will tie into the existing Performing Arts Center parking lot. Due to some design change that we went through, we needed to remain compliant with ADA so that with that parking area, we can tie in our sidewalks so they're still ADA compliant for accessibility from the parking lot to the building. And so we are asking for that change order for $5,500 to take care of those concrete issues that we have there.
I will move that we approve the change order number 1 to the construction of driveway.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Deborah. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this change order to the driveway. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Furniture for North Middle School, Dr. Sketa.
Okay, this is a typical need that you get wear and tear over the years in a school, and Matt Harding came to us a year ago and said, I'm going to be needing these very quickly. And then also he chose some furniture that we bid out that might be able to be moved together, a little bit more cooperative type activities for students nowadays, the way we do things with schools and furniture in the school system. So we would recommend that you accept this, or that you approve this, and so that we can get the furniture in here and get going, and he can be ready for the school year.
I move we buy North Furniture.
I would second that.
Thank you, Deb and Derek. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of this furniture for North Middle School. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Items 7, 8, and 9 will be taken together.
7, 8, and 9.
These are surplus items that were combined. So, Dr. Sketa?
In talking with Eric this morning, and he can explain more, it's pretty simple, though. Computers, iPads, things are out of date. There's a lot of old equipment that's completely out of date, several years old, anywhere from 7 to 10 years old or more, that we want to take to auction, and the iPads as well. We replace the iPads at the middle schools with the Chromebooks. And then also Dr. Gilbert has went through textbooks that are just out of date, and we need to update. Just a typical thing that when you age out 8, 10, 12 years, it's time to move on.
Thank you, Doctor. Does anybody have any questions about these surplus items? I'll entertain a motion for items 7, 8, and 9.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek. It's been moved.
Second.
And Jennifer seconds. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. We have another surplus item, but this is a lot.
And this is a good one, too. This is coming the other way. At first you don't succeed, try again. We did it with Duquesne, and we did it with these adjacent lots. So we put it back up and we advertise instead of coming back to you and change and trying to make changes. We thought, well, let's give it a shot and call around and make sure everybody's aware. We only got one bid, but that's all it took. And so the adjacent properties near Emerson and the adjacent properties near Old South property, which we sold, we're about to close on those deals. We would recommend that we sell these other lots for the bids that are listed there for $49,001, and then also for $23,001 to Schuber Mitchell.
And these bids met our minimum bid requirements.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I move we accept the bids for the surplus lots.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Deborah. It's been moved and seconded that we have approved the bids for these surplus lots. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Policy readings.
Yes, as Jennifer shared, we have 5 policies that we're bringing to you as described in your item, and we would recommend that first reading be approved of the policies as presented.
Thank you. I would accept a motion to accept item 11A through E.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek. It's been moved and seconded by?
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. It's been moved and seconded that we approve item 11 as a whole. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. And the next item is Project Lead the Way.
And Dave's going to come back to the table for that one. He applied for an enhancement grant, and we got that. And I believe it's a 50-50 match on this particular item.
Yes, we were needing to replace computers for the Project Lead the Way engineering program, laptops, and then some desktop computers. Enhancement grant, they had taken it off of the high demand list, so we weren't able to get enhancement, which is typically 75-25 money, 75% DESI, 25% local. So finding out that we were not given approval for that, I turned it around and sent it back into DESI for a 50-50 grant, and we were able to get a 50-50 program improvement grant since they had taken the Project Lead the Way off of the high demand items this year. So it will require a little more local match, but we'll be able to get 20 machines for each program, which is the maximum for the Project Lead the Way classes. So.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Dave?
I'll move that we update the Dell computers and laptops for Project Lead the Way.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Could I
Please.
request one thing? That would require a budget adjustment, correct?
Yeah, I think what will probably happen is we'll come under on some of the other grants through enhancement. So I think we'll probably have the money in the budget to be able to handle it without having to add money.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It's a great program. and
Yeah.
I just want to make sure if we needed to, that we'd do it right now.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Lori. It's been moved and seconded that we approve Project Lead the Way's purchase of some computers. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Plus deltas, I would like to thank everybody for doing a remarkable job of moving through this agenda.
I wrote this one down. It was so good. We had some money left over from the project. I've never heard that before, so I want to shout out to Dave.
Yep, but they still have some time.
And Carrie for coming in under budget on a project. I want to shout out to Dave at Franklin Tech for negotiating with Missouri Southern and writing the Project Lead the Way grant. And shout out to Eric for stretching technology dollars, because I know we usually replace technology more frequently, so thank you for stretching.
Here. It sounds like our Joplin Education Center is going to look a little bit like the Denver airport. Is that right?
Early childhood, yeah.
I mean, is that right? The early childhood center may look a little bit like that. But at any rate, that sounds really nice. I'm sure everybody's going to appreciate the shade.
Yeah.
So, anything else? Any deltas? This is not part of board business, but I would be remiss if I did not mention that we lost a Joplin High School graduate yesterday. Bonnie Little was a 2017 graduate.
We need to remember his family and friends.
And then I had a parent just bring this to my attention and said I would bring it to the attention. She has a special needs child, and she talked about how overwhelming it is for some students with special needs, autism, et cetera, to go to an open house. And she wondered could there be an earlier open house for students with special needs to come maybe prior to everybody else getting there, because they get so overwhelmed by the crowd and the enormity. And I just said I would share her concern.
Sometimes they've done that, because my kids did that. Christopher did that.
At the elementary, we had discussed possibilities, because sometimes we do kindergarten by themselves, but that would be a good night that we also could invite those.
Good. Well, I will let her know there's some discussion going on there.
We have brought that up.
Yeah, and definitely let us know particularly which campus and more specificity.
Okay, yeah, I can find that out. I don't know, so.
My plus is it's not yet 8 o'clock.
I know.
It is not yet 8 o'clock. Thank you, Jennifer.
Moving closer, moving closer.
As we keep getting closer, is somebody going to move that we adjourn this time?
I will second that.
Thank you, Deb and Derek. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you, everyone.
All right. This